Last video on the Barbarian, let us see what is unique between these two editions. What does 3rd edition have that 5th doesn't, and what does 5th have that 3rd doesn't? Now, 3rd edition basically has 2, maybe 3 things that are unique. Most of it does translate over this. First of all, in 3rd edition, Barbarians are illiterate. They cannot read or write. They can speak their starting languages, but they can't read or write them. They have to use their skill points to gain the ability to read and write in languages that they already know. So that's one thing. It's not a big thing, but it can have some effects in the game. The next one that they have here is Uncanny Dodge. And they also have improved Uncanny Dodge. And these two things will not translate into 5th edition, because the mechanics that they are based in don't exist in 5th edition. Just a brief explanation here. In 3rd edition, there's a condition known as flat-footed. If you are flat-footed, you cannot add your dexterity modifier to your armor class. Being flat-footed means you are unable to react, and so the only armor class you have is whatever physically preventing them from hitting you. You can't dodge out of the way. That's what flat-footed is. Barbarian with Uncanny Dodge, he can be flat-footed, but he doesn't lose his dexterity modifier when he becomes flat-footed. And then improved Uncanny Dodge, he can no longer be flanked. There is no flat-footed in 5th edition. And flanking is only an optional rule. And so you can't give the Barbarian an ability that negates an optional rule. So it doesn't work out. The other benefit that Uncanny Dodge does give is that, well, improved Uncanny Dodge, is it will prevent a rogue from doing sneak attacks against you using flanking. So if a rogue is flanking, he gets his sneak attack. Same thing in 5th edition. But if the Barbarian has Uncanny Dodge, or improved Uncanny Dodge, the rogue cannot do a sneak attack against the Barbarian unless the rogue is at least 4 levels higher than the Barbarian. So he gets improved Uncanny Dodge at 5th level, which means that starting at 5th level, a rogue has to be 9th level if he wants to sneak attack a Barbarian. A 20th level Barbarian, you'd have to have a 24th level rogue to sneak attack it. These things are actually fairly nice, given the mechanics of 3rd edition, but they can't translate over to 5th. Now, in 5th edition, almost everything that they have is unique to 5th edition. It doesn't exist in 3rd. So, for instance, the subclasses. Let's look at the subclasses first. We have the Totem Warrior. And the Totem Warrior, first, he gets some spells. He has to cast them as rituals, but he gets a couple of spells. He then gets the Spirit Seeker, which he chooses a spirit, and he gets a special power from it. Later on, he gets the aspect of the beast, and then all of this stuff. None of this exists in 3rd edition. This was all invented for 5th edition. The entire path of the Totem Warrior was invented for 5th edition. Almost everything in the Berserker path is invented for 5th edition. You have the Frenzy, gives a bonus attack. That does not exist in 3rd. You have the Intimidating Presence. You can create fear in one target. That is not in 3rd. You have Retaliation, giving you the ability to, in a sense, counterattack with your reaction. That doesn't exist in 3rd. The only thing in the path of the Berserker that's in 3rd is the Mindless Rage, which I talked about in my last video. In the standard Barbarian stuff, we have Unarmored Defense. This armor class in 5th edition I find just kind of ridiculous and confusing, but it lets you add your Constitution modifier to your armor class. This does not exist for Barbarians in 3rd edition. They don't get to add Constitution to armor class. But everything else kind of just increases the rage in ways that you don't get in 3rd edition. Feral Instinct allows you to ignore the surprise at the beginning of a combat as long as the first thing that you do is to go into rage. Doesn't exist in 3rd. Brutal Critical increases how much damage you do on critical hit. Again, not in 3rd. Relentless Rage. If you're in rage and you drop down to 0 hit points, you can make a Constitution saving throw to go down to only 1. This, in a sense, is the extra hit points you might get from rage in 3rd edition, but not real. You have Persistent Rage, which is now you only end the rage prematurely if you drop to 0 hit points and fall unconscious. The Indomitable Might. This is if you make a check on a strength check, roll a die on a strength check, and the total is less than your strength score, you replace it with your strength score. This doesn't exist in 3rd because they have the modifiers. For one thing, you're already increasing your strength score you're going to get +8 to your strength score by level 20, and you can always add more modifiers on. So this idea, it's not necessary for 3rd edition. And finally, we have the Primal Champion, where you get a permanent increase of +4 to your strength and constitution, and now your maximum for both of these ability scores is 24 instead of 20. This is somewhat of an attempt to translate the bonuses that Rage gives you in 3rd edition into 5th. But it's not based in Rage in 5th edition. It's just a bonus that Barbarians get at 20th level. So you can see all these things. There's a lot of things that the Barbarian gets in 5th edition that don't exist in 3rd. Most of them are invented for 5th because, as I said in my initial video on classes, 5th edition requires class features. Some of these class features you could get in 3rd edition as feats. For instance, the Intimidating Presence, that's basically a feat in 3rd edition. There's a feat that does almost the same thing. So a lot of these things were feats in 3rd edition, but they weren't standard Barbarian stuff. You had to take them as feats. One last difference that I do want to mention here, one very big difference between 3rd and 5th edition. In 3rd edition, by 20th level, a Barbarian is making 4 attacks a round, just like a fighter. Or he has the potential for 4 attacks in action. We'll put it that way because attacking is a little bit different in 3rd. But he has the ability to make 4 attacks in a round. In 5th edition, he does have the extra attack feature, which he gets at 5th level, but this only gives him 1 extra attack, which means a Barbarian in 5th edition is making 2 attacks a round. He can use his bonus action to make a 3rd attack, but he has to use a bonus action to make that 3rd attack. But he's not going to get more than 3 attacks unless he has, magic with haste and all that. Standard, Barbarian gets 2 attacks, possibly 3. That's going to be the most. 3rd edition, he'll get up to 4 attacks. It does work differently, which, again, we will have to discuss in a future video, but he can get up to 4 attacks. Here, he can only get 3. That will conclude our videos on the Barbarian, talking about the differences. If there is any similarities that you noticed that I missed, please let me know in the comments below. And if you are enjoying it, like, subscribe. Let me know what you might want to see in the future. The next class that I will discuss will be the Bard.